It is apparently mess season in college football as Tennessee wide receiver Chris Brazzell was arrested for driving with a suspended license last week, and he's been held out in practice for a reported injury that he's coming back from. But let's talk about what this means for Tennessee, what this means for him. What's up, kinfolk? It's RJ Young. I am not on the step mill. If this is your first time watching Adapt and Respond, thank you for joining us here. We talk college football year round. If that is something you're into, go ahead and hit that subscribe button, like this video, and answer the question in the comments below. What do you think Josh Heupel is going to do about Chris Brazzell driving with a suspended license? But more importantly, it was that he was speeding, doing 60 and a 35, and then they found that his license had been suspended for failing to appear, and now he's got a hearing set for August 20th. Hello, we start playing football on August 23rd about the suspended license. Chris Brazzell, who is the leading returning receiver among Tennessee Volunteers going into 2025, 29 catches, 333 yards after a year at his first year at Tennessee after playing at Tulane, and expected to become one of the go-to targets for what we think is going to be starting quarterback Joey Aguilar, but could be Jake Mecklinger, could be George McIntyre. But I think most people believe it's the guy that's had, a couple years of power, group of six experience at Appalachian State, was expected to start for UCLA until Nico Iamaleava decided to hold out, transfer to UCLA. Aguilar said, hey, that's too many roosters in the hen house. And he decided to elect to enter the portal. And Tennessee said, come on down, after reportedly someone at Tennessee had offered Josh Hoover seven-figure deal to transfer from Texas Christian to Tennessee. And you could see just what you want in your quarterback in a guy like Josh Hoover, because he can push the football down the field. And that was something that Tennessee sorely missed last year with Nico Iamaleava at quarterback. Could have been a found money situation. It still could be a found money situation as you're waiting on Faison to graduate as the number one quarterback, number one player in the 2026 class, and join up with you. This is a bridge year for Tennessee, and what was expected to be a pretty even transition with Nico Iamaleava going into what we thought was going to be a showcase year for him and Tennessee, after Tennessee made the college football playoff for the first time last year. I think it really gets overshadowed by the way in which they got dispatched by Ohio State in December, putting it into their otherwise pretty cool season. But we also know that Nico Iamaleava was not the reason predominantly that Tennessee was so good last year. It was Dylan Sampson in that offensive line. Dylan Sampson, who rushed for SEC most. Make sure I get this right. Goodness me. I just had it. 1,491 yards. My God. I was about to say 1,591 yards, but I'm glad I didn't, because he's been that good, right? Like, it's I want him to be great at Cleveland. I think he still can. But when you're using Squirrel White to Florida State, Brew McCoy, and then you got to place the quarterback, that means your primary starter at quarterback, at running back, and your number one, number two guys at wide receiver are both, out. You're going to have to really make it happen with what we think is going to be still a pretty decent roster. Like, I think Deshaun Bishop has everything you need to be a great tailback back there, and I think they're pretty deep at the tailback position. Offensive line might take a little bit of work because they're losing a lot off of it, but you're going to see Mike Matthews have to step up in a real way. And if Josh Heupel decides to suspend Chris Brazzell for being stupid, it is what it is. I don't know what Josh Heupel is going to do in this instance. Ollie Gordon got pinched for something, like he got pinched for DUI actually last year. And Mike Gundy said, I'm not suspending him. He's going to have to go through the court process. That's going to be tough enough. He still has to play football here, so we're going to have him play football here. And it turned out to be a 3-9 season where Ollie Gordon didn't do much anyway. I don't think that Chris Brazzell is that important to what Tennessee is doing offensively. However, I do think he was a known commodity in an offense that just doesn't have a bunch of those all of a sudden. It'd be one thing if it was a player here and there. Now it is, okay, we got a new quarterback. We got new running back room. We got two new number ones, or number one, number two at wide receiver. We just got Boo Carter back in the fold, but we don't know how quickly he's going to play. I wouldn't expect to see him week one. I really would, the more I think about this. And we're having a quarterback competition that we're going to lay out for as long as we can. But at some point, you got to stop splitting reps and give one guy the majority of the reps so he can get an understanding of what it is you're asking him to do going into a week one matchup against Syracuse that I think is going to be pretty good. Like, I think Syracuse is in a similar spot. They had an outstanding year. They just missed out on being one of the better teams to make the college football playoff. Had they been able to play in the ACC championship game, maybe something changes, but they went out on a really high note. They're turning over the quarterback position. They're turning over at wide receiver, but Fran Brown has that thing moving in the right direction. I think Syracuse can't wait to see how good they are against the Tennessee team that expects to contend in the SEC and could be that third team, that fourth team in from the SEC in the 12-team playoff to come if they can put it together. The schedule's going to be there. We know what the SEC is like. We know that if Tennessee can beat up on teams that are ranked on its schedule, it's going to be fine. I just don't know that that's going to be the thing. This might be have to be the best coaching job that Josh Heupel has done since last year, when I think he really had to get out of what he likes to do, which is up tempo and force the ball down the field, and then use the run game to beat people up. Last year, you really had to depend on Dylan Sampson to do a lot of your heavy lifting each and every game because you were in max protection with Nico Iamaleava at quarterback. That needs to change, and that can change if Joey Aguilar has a great understanding of the offense, but who knows, right? Joey Hazel might have a great read on that. But because he arrived to Tennessee after spring practice had ended, his first opportunity to actually put the offense into practice is right here, right now, which is complicated by you need to have a quarterback competition, which means that not all the reps are going to him. Most of them, you got to assume, are getting split up between the three. And you really want to help the development of a guy like Jake Mecklinger. You want George McIntyre to stay activated in case something happens to Joey Aguilar, all while you're dealing with Boo Carter coming back in the fold. And now perhaps they knew about this, and I would be shocked if they didn't. Now everybody else knows Chris Brazzell is facing, a legal challenge. And anytime you got a wide receiver, a quarterback, a running back, a skill player with a legal challenge, it's going to ebb to the top of the heap. We did a segment just on Saturday about LSU's running back room and how it's going to take a hit because JT Lindsey is a guy that got charged with 2 counts of felony, accessory after the fact, harboring what it was 2 guys that are suspected charged with attempted murder. It's just not a good look. And it feels, the joke in the comment section on this show is LSU's trying to take Georgia's bit. I think this is a little bit more serious than that, but also you're seeing it spread around, right? This is not the time to be getting into trouble. It's never a good time to get into trouble, but leading up to the season start, everything's supposed to be locked down. And now that we have name, image, and likeness, now that we have revenue sharing, and now that we know the money's getting so big, we're seeing 5-star seniors getting $900,000 deals. Texas Tech, thank you very much. You're seeing even more pressure put on the kiddos to go out there and perform. And I'm not sure that all of them understand the stakes. It used to be, sound like an old man get off my lawn, you locked in, or you tried to during this time, right? In the summer, when there's really not that much to do except lift in the morning and then perhaps condition in the afternoon, you saw more guys getting into trouble. Famously, you had 3 guys that have worked their way back that got into a whole heap of trouble at Oklahoma, right? Seth McGowan, Trajan Bridges, and the works. And you're going, okay, what led to this? How do we stop this? How do we get our hands around this, if you will? I'm not quite sure that there's anything you can do now except perhaps start fining guys for getting into trouble. But even then, they're going to do what they're going to do. And a football team is very big. It's got a lot of personalities. As much as you want them to be one unit at one point, it's all going to be what it is until it's not. And by that, I simply mean someone in that locker room is going to have to say enough and put everybody else in check, or you're going to have to put everybody in bubble wrap and do room checks until such a time as guys have shown that they can respect the power tee that they represent, the orange and white that they need to wear, and that football is the main thing, and keep the main thing the main thing. For Tennessee, it's another distraction you just did not need. It's another distraction from a team that wants to compete for an SEC championship and a program that deserves to compete for an SEC championship, and a rabid fan base. Tennessee fans are so in and locked in and switched on that I hope Vols Twitter is okay in as much as we can have Vols Twitter today. But this is simply not what you needed. And I hope that this gets settled quick, fast, in a hurry, because I would love to see Tennessee be competitive in 2025. Things like this can lead you to believe a team that should be in the top 25 might not be there by week 3.